Good morning, church. It is Tuesday morning, the second day of our reading this week. I hope your week got off to a good start yesterday, and I hope you're able to spend some time in the Word and to get to study. Today's reading for Tuesday morning is Psalm 28, the 28th Psalm. And this is God as our strength. And David is the author of this psalm, and we believe that he had been being persecuted by Saul, and after coming through this great trial, he wrote this psalm to proclaim that the Lord was his strength. And as we look at this psalm, we're going to see that the first half is David in the moment of persecution. When the trials are coming at him and when times are tough, David is crying out to the Lord. He says actually in verse 1, he says, "Unto thee, O Jehovah, I will cry." In the time of trial, in the time of tribulation, David didn't just cry out to anyone, but David cried out to the Lord. He knew that the Lord was the only one who could be his strength, who could be sufficient through the trial. He trusted and knew that the Lord was his strength. It was to Jehovah, to God, to the same God that we worship, Jesus. This is the God that David worshiped, the God that we worship. This is the God who is sufficient to be our strength. And David cried out to him. Then when we look at the second half of this psalm, we see that David has been delivered, that God showed up and God was his strength in the trial. And David is praising God for what he's done. He's giving God the credit for rescuing him, for being his refuge, for being the one who was his strength when David needed him. David was delivered by God and by the strength of God. When I read this psalm, sometimes I'm reminded that sometimes in our lives, we see the most growth when we're in the middle of the struggle and when we're in the middle of the trial. Because really, when we recognize that we can't do it, that we need the strength of God to get us through, and when we get to that point where we recognize we need to rely on Him, it's then that we grow. It's then that we see our faith grow stronger and we see our trust in the Lord grow. And so I want to encourage you in the times of struggle. We're in a struggling time right now, a difficult time that is really unfamiliar for all of us. Rely on the Lord because He is the one who is our strength. He is the one who will deliver us, who will get us through the trial. I love James says that trial and tribulation, that we should consider them pure joy when we face them. Because when we face these things, we have an opportunity to grow. We have an opportunity to persevere and to have our faith and our trust in the Lord grow as we watch Him be His strength in our weakness. So I hope you enjoy Psalm 28 today on this Tuesday morning and know that we love you. I'm praying for you, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.